Welcome to Reclaiming Your Light. I'm your host, Rachel Gossett. This is a space where healing begins with safety. You can take off the mask and discover the freedom of being your true self. Let's begin reclaiming your light. For the past 4 years, I carried this idea of creating a podcast. Yes, for 4 years. It wasn't something I casually thought about once or twice. It was this deep desire that kept returning to me. Sometimes it would arrive quietly. Think of it like a whisper into your ear. That's how it was for me. It was reminding me that I wanted to say something. I wanted to share my stories. But other times it really felt like this undeniable pull. Picture it. I'm sitting behind the microphone, sharing the stories that shaped me, having those honest conversations with people who inspire me, and really creating a space where women could feel seen, understood, and less alone. A space where women felt safe to show up just as they are. I could really feel in my body how much I wanted it, how much I desired it. And even looking past the podcast, the desire to do public speaking, to be on stage, to be like the Wayne Dyer for my field, to have that incredible power, wisdom, knowledge for women to feel, to embody, and for them to get to a point of recognizing their true essence, for allowing the world to see who they truly are. And this desire, it would come, it would go, but I would always find myself battling the inner critic, that mean girl, right? And she can get pretty fucking nasty. And as soon as this desire would come up to create this platform, Mean Girl would come in and she would shut that shit down. She would say to me, "What could you possibly say that hasn't been said already? Who do you think you are? Why is anyone going to listen to you? You don't know what you're doing. You don't have all of this experience. You don't have these years under your belt. Rachel, it's just going to be too much work. You have a family, you have a job, you're growing your business. What, you're going to add something else to your plate? Not going to happen. You're going to have to figure out the microphone, the editing, the music, the platform, the distribution, the artwork, the descriptions, everything. You don't know this. So why? What if you put all this work, all of this hard work into this and no one listens? But then let's reverse that, Rachel. What if people do listen and then they judge you? They criticize you. So this is what Mean Girl Rachel was saying in my head for 4 years. And the list goes on and on. I'm sure there's other things. I know there's other things that she said to me. And I just want to pause for a moment. It is so incredible how nasty we are to ourselves. And if you think about it, would you be this nasty to your partner, to your best friend, to your children? No. So because Mean Girl Rachel, I would convince myself, all right, now's not the right time. Maybe I need to do more healing. Maybe I need to do more inner work. Not really clear on who this is for. How am I going to do this? How am I going to get to that destination that I see in my mind? Maybe I just need to be more confident or just have everything planned out. Side note, I am a recovering people pleaser and perfectionist. So there always seemed to be another reason to wait. And honestly, some of those reasons sounded pretty responsible. They sounded logical. They sounded like discernment. I told myself I was being intentional, but you know what? Really, underneath all of that reasoning, all of that mind talking, there was something so much more vulnerable. I was afraid. Even up until when I actually submitted my first episode, I was afraid. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of the criticism, the judgment of everything and anything that has to do with my podcast, with my dream. Afraid that no one's going to listen. The right people are not going to find it. And people that do find it, maybe they would misconstrue something that I would say. I would be misunderstood. I would be sharing too much. I'd be like, oh, damn. What's her fucking problem? Or really discovering that, you know what, Rachel's voice doesn't matter. So for me, for much of my life, which you'll learn in these episodes, is that being visible, being seen was scary for me. It didn't feel safe. For a very long time, I had to wear a mask. Well, I thought I had to wear a mask. I thought I had to be somebody else. And like you, and like so many women out there, I learned how to wear the different masks. I learned how to read a room, anticipate what people needed from me, and really become the version of myself that felt most acceptable in the moment. I learned how to achieve, to perform, to be that perfectionist, to be fucking amazing at whatever I did. But there was consequences to that. That pushing, that overachieving, the unrealistic expectations. It was hurting me inside. It was hurting me physically, emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. I spent years in careers where I needed to be confident, competent. I needed to have this composure. I was once a federal agent for the government, criminal investigator. And then I transitioned to the career of speech language pathology, where now I help children find their voice, their words, and how to communicate their needs. I'm a mama, I'm a wife, I have 4 children. So all of that comes with this mental load to care for the family, to care for your job, to care for your spouse. Forget about caring for myself. That took a long time to get there, too. I became that person someone could depend on. Hey, Rachel, can you do XYZ? Of course, I got you. Hey, Rachel, can you ABC? Yep, I got you. And I would say yes, even though my body was screaming, no. But not knowing how to be capable of expressing myself, of creating those boundaries, I just didn't know how to do it to the point of feeling safe. For 33 years, I lived with eating disorders and body dysmorphia. I knew what it felt like to be trapped inside patterns that appeared to be about food, about my body. But it really wasn't about the food and the body. Right? Those are secondary behaviors, really. What it was all about is control, worthiness, the pain, the deep pain that ached inside of me. And basically survival. I was trying my best to survive for so many years. For most of my life, I was in survival mode. Always looking over my shoulder, wondering if the bear was going to attack me, if the tiger was going to maul me. I knew what it was like to criticize myself before anyone had the opportunity to. It was like I was prepping myself. All right, Rach, I'm going to be the mean girl bitch to you. So then that way, when someone says shit to you, it will just roll off your shoulders. It didn't. It didn't. So, because of all of this, I knew how to really shrink parts of myself while trying to take up as little emotional space as possible. I didn't want to be that person. Something that I also know all too well is grief. My mother died in 2009, and that loss really changed me. I lost my faith from that. And there were years that were so heavy with grief. It really felt like a ton of bricks were crushing me. And I just couldn't imagine it ever becoming anything other than the pain that I felt in my body, that I felt in my heart, that I felt mentally. But over time, through healing, breath work, spiritual connection, motherhood, music, and really beginning to listen to my body, to understand what she is saying to me. And to understand that, hey, you can have both darkness and light. Because without darkness, you can't have light. And without light, you can't have darkness. So it took a while for me to understand that grief and joy can absolutely coexist. And I've also learned that when you are in the dark, that's not the end of your story. It's just the beginning. I learned that we can transmute fucking anything what we have lived through. We can take that pain and turn it into compassion. We can take the shame and turn it into connection. We can take that grief and allow it to deepen our capacity for joy. We can take all of the moments that nearly broke us and use them to build a life that feels more honest, more authentic, and more free. This is what I wanted this podcast to be about. But even when we have healed deeply, the old patterns do not always disappear forever. Right? We're on this healing journey until our physical form is done here in this 3D world. We are here for a reason. We have lessons and challenges we need to go through so that way we can expand. And what I've learned about this podcast, creating this podcast, is that I still had some reservations about starting this. So this year, the desire came back to start a podcast. But this time it felt a little different. It didn't feel like another idea that I could quietly put back on a shelf. It actually felt like it was growing inside of me. And that so a baby's coming to mind. I was growing my baby, my podcast, and I was going to birth it this year. And most recently, around the same time, I had started doing more lives on Instagram, collaborating with some of my very close friends, having these amazing conversations about spirituality, somatic healing, motherhood, divorce, shame, truth-telling, breaking generational patterns, and really what it means to come home to yourself. And something happened during these conversations. I didn't realize how these conversations would awaken something inside of me. I absolutely love them. I love listening to another woman share her experience and noticing how the conversation moves from surface level to something deep and real, something authentic and vulnerable. I love asking the questions that open the door for someone to share a truth that maybe, you know what, they haven't spoken out loud before. I love the unexpected moments that I've had together with these women, the laughter, the vulnerability, the tears. And even some of the private messages that I've received from people saying, hey, thanks, or I needed to hear this today. Now, these conversations completely lit me up. There was this energy in my body that I just could not ignore. I felt present. I felt alive. I felt like myself. If you're into human design, I'm a 1-3 emotional generator. So if something feels good in my body, that fire is lit. I am completely expanded. And if something does not resonate with me or feel good, I contract. But I was expanded. And then some of my friends and some other people who listen began telling me, hey, Rachel, you're really good at this. You're a natural. You should have your own podcast. I would love to listen to your stories. Even my mentor said something pretty amazing. She told me, she's like, Rachel, you're the best kept secret on the internet. So of course, sure, she's my mentor. So part of my inner girl, my inner mean girl was like, Rachel, she's just saying that because she's your mentor. She just wants to make you feel good, blah, blah, blah. But I know deep down that she was being authentic with me because She didn't have to tell that to me. She didn't have to say it if it didn't mean the truth. Now, in the past, these comments, right, I definitely would have rushed them away. I would have laughed like, oh, yeah, I don't know. Or, yeah, sure. And then in my mind, mean girl saying nasty things. But this time it was different. Something had shifted inside of me. I've been consciously trying to receive compliments and just to say thank you. I received that. And to fully receive it, not just say it, to fully receive it in my body, in my whole being. And that's what I did this time. And something like really surprised me. I began to believe myself. I know. Can you believe it? Oh, I stopped asking, who am I to create the podcast? And I love changing the questions, right? I love to get curious now. When I get triggered, I get curious and I ask myself questions, and I just feel it in my body. So the question I asked, what if there is someone who needs to hear what I have to say? Because ultimately, my goal is to be of service to you, to be of service to my students that I give speech therapy to be of service to my children, to my spouse, to my friends, to be of service to the hospice patients that I see. And this podcast is not about me. It's about you. And with all of these thoughts swirling in my head and the reframing and the feeling in my body, I became very intentional about what I wanted this podcast to be. I didn't want to create something simply because, hey, it's the thing to do. It's popular. I didn't want to just speak and fill the silence or try to just build another piece of my business. I want this podcast to have depth, to have soul. I wanted it to really understand its purpose. I wanted to understand its purpose, its mission, like my why. Why am I doing this? Am I just cause? And all of these things, I would continue to move forward in the podcast and be of service, even if the numbers were small. And you know what? The numbers don't matter. My ego questioning and trying to keep me small is not telling me the truth. My intention just became that much more clearer. I really wanted to create a space for women who have spent years being who they thought they had to be. Women who look very capable, very put together on the outside, but feeling so completely disconnected from themselves underneath it all. Because shit, I've been there. And hey, listen, there are times where I get a little disconnected from myself, but I know I need to rein it back in. I have the tools and the capacity to do that now. And also, I really want this space to be for women who continue to wear the masks. They've been wearing the mask for so fucking long that, you know what? They're not even sure where the mask starts and where it ends. Oh man, The movie The Mask just dropped into my head. I have this vision of Jim Carrey right now, right? He turns into this whole other person. Oh, that's a classic movie. You'll notice, sidetrack, you'll notice that Spirit, and when I channel messages, Spirit loves to give me messages through music and movies. So don't be surprised if I start singing or start talking about music, lyrics, and movies. All right. Back to why I wanted to create this podcast. So I want this space to be where we can talk honestly about healing, not a polished version, but the real raw shit. Not the version that pretends we breathe through something once and we never go through it again, because that's a lie. I want to talk about what healing looks like in real life. Healing while you are raising your children, while you are working a full-time job, while you are trying to build your business, while you're grieving, navigating complicated relationships, navigating your marriage. What healing looks like when you're sitting in traffic or you're standing in the line at the grocery store. What healing looks like when you get triggered and trying to respond differently than we did before. I wanted to share the somatic practices that really helped me reconnect to my body. I want to offer the breath work, the visualizations, spiritual insight, the conversations to really help you remember your inner knowing. And when I say that, I see this light glowing in your heart space. And it's almost as if Spirit is showing me a lantern or a lamp, an oil lamp, and how you can turn the knob, right? And then the flame gets larger or the flame gets shorter. And through the programming, the conditioning, the trauma we experience, the generational patterns that we carry, our light will be dimmed. But the key is to know that you can turn that light back on. It's still there. And that's what this podcast is for. It's really to help you remember your light, your true essence, your inner knowing. And to know that healing is possible. Feeling free is possible. Taking off that mask and putting it down is possible. Trusting yourself and trusting your intuition and what your body is telling you is possible. Reclaiming your light is possible. And you know what? When all of that came through for me, I had so much clarity. I was like, fuck it. I am building the podcast. I chose the name, the artwork, got my microphone, the hosting platforms, right? I got it, writing the descriptions, the editing, everything. So guess what? I recorded my first episode, right? I did the intro and all of that, the music. So I go to upload everything to the podcasting platform, the hosting platform. The work was done, and I shit you not, I froze. I could not press the damn button to submit the podcast, to submit the first episode. Now listen, I wish I could tell you that after 4 years of waiting and then finally feeling ready, it's like, yeah, I got this, that I can confidently press the button and celebrate. But nope. My nervous system shut that shit down. So my body, that button, that submit button was my tiger. It was the bear that was going to maul the shit out of me. My hand hovered over the mouse. My body flooded with anxiety. My heart was racing. I was sweating. I started feeling nauseous. I actually thought I was going to throw up. And then my head, oh my goodness, I got the worst tension headache. And then it felt like my eyeballs were going to pop out. And my mind got so loud again. And I was like, holy shit, where did this come from? I thought I moved through this. But you know what? That's the beauty of life. We're going to always get triggered. And it's just a matter of how you respond to your triggers as you heal. Now, I already did the hard part, right? I created the podcast. I recorded my voice. I listened to myself. I edited everything. Now, why was I so terrified to press the button? So in that moment, instead of judging myself about all of the feels and the lack of movement forward in pressing the button, I got curious. And this is something I invite you to do when you get triggered, to get curious. So for me, my inner critic, mean girl Rachel, showed up with a vengeance. She was out to destroy me. And some things from what I remember that came through my mind was, this is embarrassing. You look stupid in your podcast cover. People are going to judge you. What if you sound fucking ridiculous? No one's going to listen. What if people you know talk about you? Well, no, forget it. People are going to talk about you. You're sharing too much. You need to keep things quiet or secret. No, you know what, Rachel? Maybe you should just wait a little bit longer. You're just not ready yet. Okay, let's just listen to the episode one more time. Let's just sit on it. You'll get there. And then that mean girl inside of me continued to bully me. Oh, she was so relentless. And side note, I was bullied really badly in 7th grade. That is. You'll have to wait for another episode on that one. But that's what it was. It was like the bully who bullied me in 7th grade is bullying me in my mind right now. That I am fucking worthless. Now, I'm really proud of myself. There was a time where I would have believed everything this bully was telling me. I would have interpreted the anxiety as, oh, no, you got to stop. You got to put it down, take a step back. I would have closed the computer. Like, all right, not today. I'll do it when I'm more confident. But you know what? In that moment, by getting curious and doing the healing work, I understood my body. I understood it differently from what I used to before. I didn't even know shit about my body before. I know that discomfort does not always mean danger. Anxiety does not automatically mean that I'm making the wrong decision, right? That anxiety and fear, no, means I just care a lot. Sometimes the nervous system reacts because we are doing something unfamiliar. The nervous system doesn't like change. It likes things just as they are. And the nervous system especially does not want challenges. Challenges in old identity that will come up or something that's going to bring us into greater visibility, right? The spotlight is shining down. Instead of abandoning the podcast, abandoning myself, I paused. I stepped back from the computer. I started doing some very deep, intentional belly breaths. with the exhalation longer than the inhalation, really focusing on the expansion in my belly. And just letting my breath signal to my body that I am safe. Nothing is out to get me. I did not try to force the fear away. As I said, I just continued to get curious and noticing where I was feeling all these sensations in my body, what it reminded me of. What does this frightened part of me believe will happen if I press that button? It's like pressing the red button in the cartoons, right? And why was my body trying to protect me? She wasn't protecting me because of the podcast. She was trying to protect me about being seen. Another layer had surfaced. This trigger. But it doesn't mean that I failed to heal this part of me. No. As I said, we're always going to be triggered. It's because I had finally created enough safety for the next layer to reveal itself. And think of it, you really are like an onion. And here's another movie, Shrek. Right now I'm seeing Shrek and Donkey walking and how they're talking about they're like onions, right? Different layers. Now that distinction is so important. So just let that land there. Healing is not a test we pass. We do not arrive to a final destination where we are never activated, where we're never afraid or uncertain again. What healing gives us is this: the ability to meet those moments differently. It allows us to notice what is happening, to really begin to stay connected to ourselves and make a conscious choice instead of automatically obeying the fear. As I sat there, I dug deep. I began exploring the beliefs beneath this anxiety. I was like an archaeologist. Or even, another side note, fun fact, I wanted to be a forensic pathologist when I was younger. I was pre-med in college. That story will come at another time. But yes, I was investigating. I thought about the younger versions of me who learned that visibility could invite that criticism. I thought about the parts of me that had associated acceptance with being pleasing, controlled, accomplished, easy to understand. I thought about all the times I had judged myself before anyone else could do it. All right? It stings just a little less if you do it first. Now, in this moment, the inner critic was not actually trying to ruin my life. She was trying to protect me with strategies she learned a long time ago. If I criticized myself first, maybe someone else's criticism would hurt less, right? Just like I said, just a less painful sting. If I stay hidden, then maybe I could avoid rejection. Okay, fly under the radar. If I waited until everything was perfect, maybe no one would find a reason to judge me. But perfection was never going to make me safe. Hiding was never going to make me free. Someone's always going to have an opinion. Someone's always going to judge. Right? I really began to reframe my thoughts just like that. Instead of saying to myself, Rachel, what if no one listens? I asked myself, what if one woman listens and realizes that she is not alone? Instead of saying to myself, Rachel, who are you to do this? I answered, I am a woman with an incredible story, voice, and a deep desire to serve. Instead of Rachel saying, hey, everyone has a podcast, I reminded myself, no one has lived my exact life. No one carries my exact medicine, or even the will to tell these stories in my voice. I connected with my higher self, the part of me that does not speak through panic, shame, or old survival patterns. My higher self speaks with clarity. She's not yelling at me. She's not threatening me. You know what she's doing? She's telling me the truth. That is what your higher self is doing. She's telling you the truth. It's just a matter if we're listening or not. And you know what? The truth was that I wanted to create this podcast for 4 years. The truth was that these conversations completely lit me up on Instagram. The truth was that I felt connected to share my voice. That I already spent way too much of my life hiding, shrinking, performing, and questioning whether I was allowed to take up space. And shit, I was gonna do it. Not because I got rid of the fears, or that everybody's gonna love it, or that I had this guarantee people were gonna listen, they were gonna follow the show. I was doing it because I was no longer willing to let the fear make every important decision for me. Sure, there are going to be people who will not resonate with this podcast. There will maybe people who misunderstand me, who criticize me, or think this work is not for them. And you know what? That's okay. I actually realize that is okay. I am not for everyone. And you are not for everyone either. Trying to be accepted by everyone really requires us to sand down those edges of who we are until there is almost nothing authentic left. We become so vague, so careful, so palatable. We speak without really saying anything because, you know what? We're just afraid that honesty might cost us approval. That's why so many of us lie. Just think about it today. How many times have you lied today? My voice will resonate with the people who need to hear it. And I finally understand that. I finally recognize that. And I know that it will resonate with maybe the woman sitting alone in her car because it is the only quiet moment she has in the day. or the mama who is doing the laundry and the dishes and she's listening to me in her ears. She's taking care of the chores. But she's also remembering that she doesn't remember the last time she felt connected to herself. Maybe it's someone who is grieving a loss and she can't really explain it to the people around her. Maybe it's the woman who has spent decades at war with her body, with her image, with food, who really needs to hear that she can cultivate an intimate relationship with herself filled with compassion. Then it could be for this woman who is that high functioning woman. Man, she is a fucking go-getter. She looks like she has her shit together. She is strong, successful, capable. But deep down inside, she wonders, is this all there is? Is there anything else? Is there more? I don't feel it. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. When will I finally get to a place of happiness? That is why I created this podcast. I created it for her, for you, for the woman who has been surviving behind a mask, for the woman who has body image issues and thinks that she needs to be a certain size, a certain number on the scale, or she needs to look a certain way. For the woman whose body has been trying to talk to her, to communicate to her through her anxiety, her panic attacks, the tension, the exhaustion, the numbness, or even that gnawing feeling inside that something needs to change. This podcast is for the woman who's been searching outside of herself for the answer and is ready to begin trusting the wisdom within her. Because you know what? She doesn't need that outside truth, because that's not the truth. The truth is within her. Now, through this podcast, I'm going to share with you my lived experiences, not because I believe that my path is the only path, but I do believe that stories really help us to recognize possibilities. I want to show you how I moved through the darkness without pretending that the darkness never existed, because shit, it got real. I want to share with you how I learned to hold the grief and joy in my body at the same time. I want to talk to you about how I healed my relationship with food, with my body, with my voice, motherhood, spirituality, and with myself. I want to talk about the moments when I still get triggered, just like launching this podcast, where I feel scared and overwhelmed, how I meet myself now when those moments happen. I really want you to see that healing is not becoming a different person. It is remembering who you were underneath everything you learned you had to be. It is putting down the mask little by little, not at once. Just think baby steps. It is feeling your feet on the ground when your mind wants to run miles ahead. It is really beginning to hear that inner critic and choosing not to hand her the microphone. It is letting yourself desire something without explaining why you can't have it. It's learning that your body is not your enemy and that you can actually befriend her. It is all about choosing yourself over and over and over again. So starting this podcast was not really just a creative project for me. Pressing that button really became an act of self-trust. I think of it as my declaration that my voice matters. And it's just proof to me that, hey, I can still feel afraid and still move forward. That I can continue to take those baby steps toward freedom. Because I've spent years reclaiming myself. And that is why I wanted this to be the first story I shared with you. I didn't plan on this to be the first story to share with you because I didn't plan on completely freezing and shutting down when I was going to submit the podcast trailer. So perhaps there is something that you've been sitting on too. An idea that keeps returning to you, a deep desire, a conversation you want to have with someone, a boundary you need to set, a business idea you want to see through. Maybe if it's a hobby or a class, a story you want to share, or a version of yourself that you are ready to become. And I know you could be telling yourself it's not the right time, you need to be more confident. And every time you get a little bit closer, your body's like, fuck, what are you doing? So you're like, nope, I'm done. I'm turning it around. But I'm going to ask you this. Just think about it for a second. What if the fear does not mean no? What if it means you are standing at the edge of being seen in a way you have never allowed before? What if the next step is not to eliminate the fear, but to really create enough safety so you can move through it? So I invite you to take a breath with me, wherever you're at. You don't have to close your eyes. And please don't close your eyes if you're driving or operating machinery. But when you have a moment, take a breath with me. Let your belly soften as you inhale through the nose. Allow the breath to travel a little deeper than it has all day. Then slowly exhale, making the exhalation longer than the inhalation. Again, breathe in and gently breathe out. Place a hand somewhere on your body that feels comforting. It could be your heart, your belly, your legs. And ask yourself this: what have I been longing to do that fear has been asking me to postpone? And just notice in your body. Notice what's coming up without judging it. You don't have to take every step today. You definitely do not have to figure out the entire path in front of you, or stop pretending that you don't have this deep ache and desire within you. Give yourself permission to honor the part of you that wants more. You that can take that one small step towards your true self. And for me, it was pressing that fucking button. It looks so simple from the outside, but inside of me, it represented years of doubt, of fear, and really learning to trust. So, I'm sure you can guess, I pressed it. My body was still going wild when I pressed it. So, I just want to thank you for being here with me. Thank you for witnessing the beginning of something that I lived inside of me for a very long time. My hope is that every time you press play, you feel a little safer being yourself, a little more connected to your body, and more willing to trust what has been quietly calling you forward. You don't have to remain trapped in this box of patterns, this box that is trying to protect you. You can alchemize it. You can alchemize what you live through. Turn that pain into purpose, that grief into a deeper sense of love. You can move from fear into courage and darkness into light. My friend, you can put the mask down. You can become free. You can reclaim your light. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It truly means more than you know. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd follow the show, leave a rating or review, or even share it with someone you love. Every listen, every review, and every share helps this message reach another woman who may be ready to come home to herself. Before you go, let's take one deep belly breath together. Breathe in through your nose, allowing your belly to gently rise. And slowly exhale, releasing anything you no longer need to carry. One more time. A deep breath in and a slow, gentle breath out. Remember, healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about creating enough safety to remember who you've been all along. Until next time, keep reclaiming your light.